Now to a story out of Perth that has absolutely nothing to do with superstar footballers and everything to do with a superstar 13-year-old, Connor James, and his best mate, his dad. Connor was the inspiration for storybook character Bootsie, and Bootsie has become an inspiration to thousands of boys around the world. 13-year-old Connor James doing what tens of thousands of kids all around the world do every day, playing a simple game of touch with his mates. And it's difficult to even begin to imagine the joy it brings his family. In 2007, Connor was diagnosed with brain cancer. The James family's world came crashing down.
It's terrible. I don't think there's too many worse things a parent can go through than a doctor coming to a room and tell that your child's got cancer.
It was during that time, during one of Connor's many bouts of chemotherapy, his dad Mike got the idea for Bootsie.
I was in Princess Margaret Hospital with Connor. I was lying in bed with him, trying to get some sleep because he's not very comfortable in there. I woke up with an idea. I can't remember what time it was. I have no idea where it came from. The inspiration was just, well, you're going to start writing some kids' books.
Mike started scribbling notes on scraps of paper there and then, and 8 books later, he's barely stopped writing since. Bootsie loves rugby, and through the challenges of the game, learns about sportsmanship, character and friendship.
The whole process of the books and the character Bootsie is based on what Connor was being like in hospital. I've never seen a more braver thing in my life than the way he got through his chemo, and it was horrible to watch him go through that, how sick he was, not being able to play with his friends because he was so sick, and he just never gave up. He just kept going and going and going. And he'd say to me, "It's all right, Dad, everything will be all right, Dad."
And Connor, what are the things about you that you think are part of Bootsie?
Well, we never gave up. We always kept trying and trying, and we tried to do our best, and we got achieved it. He had overcome the loss of Chris and Chris' dad, Mr. Butkus.
Do you remember him, Mr. Butkus?
Yeah. Considering how hard it had
Initially
hit him, he couldn't have used it as an excuse for the rest of his life, but he didn't. He eventually found the inner strength to move on and do something positive.
There are those familiar lessons in all the books, familiar messages that speak to boys of all ages.
Different challenges than what Connor was going through, but things that all boys go through. You know, they get nervous before a game. Everyone gets nervous before they play sports, and it's like, it doesn't matter, that's fine, as long as you get there and you give your best.
Not surprisingly, Connor and Mike are mad Western Force fans, and Mike was born in Wales, so it's not hard to guess where their allegiances were in June.
Wales.
Oh, controversial, mate. Hey? Didn't even have to think twice about that. Bootsie now has young fans all over the world. They've grown with him from a 10-year-old through to the last book and his struggle to make the national schoolboys team. And finally, in the last book, the biggest Bootsie mystery is solved.
Finally reveals his name in the last line of the last book, because the whole series he's just called Bootsie, and that's his nickname, because he first rolls up at training with his boots tied around his neck, and his coach starts calling him Bootsie, and it catches on. Everyone calls him Bootsie from that time on. And finally, in the last line of the last book, his coach will ask him what his real name is, and he finally tells everyone what his real name is, and that's a pretty special sort of name.
Yeah, very special indeed. Special family, the James family from Perth. Thank you for your time. It was terrific to spend the afternoon with you. Both of the Kearns boys have read the Bootsie books, Kearnsy?
All 3 of them, in fact. I've read them as well. And I tell you what, Connor, if you want to go anywhere, son, forget about Wales. It's Wallabies. Get on the Wallabies. That is rubbish what you're going on with there. They are terrific books. I enjoyed reading them. My boys loved reading them. Mike's a special person. Great people. Go out there and buy the books. It's great.
Indeed.
The kids will love it.
Exactly right. And if you do want to buy a copy of one of the books, or all the books for that matter, Bootsie Books website is where you need to head to, bootsiebooks.com. Next up here.